Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
His team previewing for the first time their legal strategy ahead of his trial in the Senate. A 6-page letter blasting the impeachment as dangerous, poisonous, brazen, and lawless. Their main argument? They say the articles of impeachment are constitutionally and legally invalid because they do not accuse President Trump of a specific crime.
Strategy. We're going to strategize right here. That's what we're going to do. Happy Monday. We're working. Everybody else is not. You know what? That's what we do. Tomorrow, huge day, massive day in our history. But politically, you sit back and you say, well, hold on a second. Let's take a deep breath. How real is this, right? How real is this? Because, and I try to explain to people over the weekend. So I'm out playing soccer over the weekend, and a few of the people that I play soccer with, they recognize me or I'm playing against, and they start asking me questions about this. And I said, look, here's the deal. And none of them were Trump supporters. And I said, in life, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? That's a big thing. Secondly, know this. Everything about this thing is about politics. That's it. You can have a disdain for the president all you want. I got zero problems with that. I don't like a lot of what the president says. I don't like a lot of the way that he's gone about trying to do some stuff that I thought was ridiculous. But the reality is these things that we're talking about, does this rise to the level of removal of this president, or better yet, any other president? I asked somebody yesterday, or the day before, I said, let me ask you a question. Because it's Joe Biden, and it was his kid. If this was Mitch McConnell's kid, do you think the Democrats would come at them like this? And they looked at me and said, probably not. I said, doesn't that say everything you need to know? Right? Like, doesn't that say everything you need to know? So his team is being built, and some of it's made for TV. And Trump realizes that. He fought to get Dershowitz on there. He likes the made-for-TV stuff. I mean, if it was him, man, he'd have stuff all over. He'd be like, hey, you know what we got to do? We got to brand everything. That'd be fantastic. Brand everything. Like this impeachment brought to you by, and then whatever it is. Right? Let's brand it. It'll be fantastic. We need some lights. We need an opening act. We can't just come out with me. We need something big. Right? Like the Masked Singer. We could have the mass justice. Which justice is this? And he could just, I mean, it would be, that's Trump, right? If you're going to go big or go home. Dershowitz was very interesting this weekend. He was everywhere, as would everybody else who's going to play a part in this and have the opportunity to get their 15 minutes of fame. And Dershowitz, not a fan of the president, the way that people think, but he's also a guy that has taught at the biggest law school, who understands the Constitution and looks at it in a different way.
I understand that's your position, but that's not what I'm asking, because you're also a citizen. As a citizen, do you think it's okay for a president to solicit foreign interference in our election?
There's a big difference between what's okay. What's okay determines what you vote for, who you vote for. I'm a liberal Democrat who's been critical of many of the policies of the president.
Yeah, he has. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. All you hear, though, whenever they talk about Dershowitz, is the fact that he's standing up for the president based on the Constitution. He's looking at it in a way that is completely not biased. Like, I'm looking at this from the letter of the law and what this should be about. It says this. Right? Here's the deal. Trump's not going out in cuffs. High crimes and misdemeanors is not like what we think Court A and Court B should be if you're going in for a misdemeanor here or you're going for your felony over there, and they're going to sit down and they're saying you did this, this, and this, and because of that, you're going to face a criminal punishment. This has always been about the removal of the president and the disdain for the president. I don't know who it was this weekend. Maybe it was Hakeem Jeffries that said, we don't dislike the president. Like, you were talking about lying. Well, the president lies all the time. That's the biggest lie in the world that I've heard from the left in a long time. I know they all lie, but, we don't dislike the president. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, Mr. Dershowitz. Please continue.
I'm here as a constitutional lawyer, a lawyer who's taught for 50 years constitutional criminal procedure at Harvard, taught a course on impeachment, taught a course on constitutional litigation. I'm here to lend my expertise on that issue and that issue alone, because that's the primary issue.
So you don't think it's okay?
If the allegations are not impeachable, then this trial should result in an acquittal, regardless of whether the conduct is regarded as okay by you or by me or by voters. That's an issue for the voters.
Yeah, issue for the voters. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what I think, the issue is for the voters, which is you and I, and we'll have our chance to speak in November. And some of us will take that chance and run with it and run to somebody else. Some people will stick with Trump, and other people who didn't vote for Trump or maybe didn't vote at all may jump over to Trump. A lot of that still has thing to do with the economy and things of that nature. But the reality is this is happening tomorrow. How long will it last? That's another question, because the Republicans don't want this thing to go on forever.
The odds are not in Democrats' favor in the Republican-controlled Senate. They need 4 Republicans to break ranks. The White House and the Republicans have made it very clear they want this trial over very quickly. They want it wrapped up by the President's State of the Union on February 4th.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, it's going to be very interesting. Here it is. They're threatening like, hey, we're going to have to work 12-hour days. I love that. We may be here from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 1 a.m. in the morning, and it's 12-hour days. Mitch McConnell. Good God. Just get it done. Get in there. Right? And the double-edged sword that the Democrats want. The Democrats want to be able to call the witnesses they want to call and hope that the Republicans don't call any witnesses. But you and I both know if they allow witnesses, and go ahead, allow witnesses. Absolutely. Let's hear it all out. Remember, your big Bolton thing may not be everything you think it is. And secondly, just know this. They're going to call witnesses too. And when your front runner, Biden, is in a situation where his kid's going to be called in there and they're going to ask certain questions, even if it does nothing to indict him, and it does nothing to make him look any worse than he already does. The fact is, more people are going to pay attention to it. More people are going to ask questions about it. They're going to dig up more stuff. Biden's going to get dragged into it. And that's going to be ugly. Is that what you want? It's a double-edged sword. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Last night, football, baby.
Today, the team that Lamar Hunt founded has just won Lamar Hunt's trophy in the stadium that was Lamar Hunt's dream. Kansas City is the AFC champion. They are headed to Miami for Super Bowl 54.
I love the announcer. They're headed to Miami for Super Bowl. Hold on. 54. Great game yesterday. Titans came out. They look good early, but the reality is that guy, Pat Mahomes, he's a freak. There's nobody even close to him in the NFL. Nobody even close to him. And while the Titans played decent, they ran out of gas. They've been on the road for, this is the 4th week in a row, right? Had to win to get in to beat Houston, then had to go and win again in New England in the first round of the playoffs. Second round in the divisional round was against Baltimore, and then yesterday they had to go to Kansas City. That's a tough 4-week stretch. Played a decent game, but the reality is it just wasn't to be. So for the first time in 50 years, the Chiefs will be heading to the Super Bowl. On the other side, wasn't even close, and I thought it'd be a better game.
True eye, they're going to run it again. Wide stretch run to Mostert, gets the edge left, cuts back inside. Raheem Mostert has 4 rushing touchdowns and the most yards rushing in a playoff game in 49er history. Oh, by the way, touchdown, San Francisco!
Yeah, crushing game. So San Francisco taking on the Chiefs, Super Bowl 54 in Miami. Should be an interesting game. Chiefs, small favorite out the door. I will tell you this. The one thing San Francisco can do that other teams can't do is they can get to the quarterback without having to bring everybody. And that will cause a little bit of problems. And I tell everybody this. We could play this game all day, but the reality is most of the time, defense wins championship. And I like their defense better than I like the Chiefs' defense. We'll break it down more, but it was fun. It was fun yesterday, and this is going to be great. This is what the NFL is dreaming of, right? You got the young, good-looking quarterbacks on both sides One of them just beyond exciting. The other one is here is Garoppolo behind Tom Brady for years. And this is going to be fun. It'll be fun. And it'll be a shootout. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to text at me. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. Wounded Paw, an amazing organization. Credible organization. I talk about Wounded Paw because of what they do, and if you've not heard me talk about them, but it's not only what they do for the veterans, the first responders, and the families who receive these animals, but it's also about the animals themselves. These are animals that essentially would be euthanized, right? There's just too many of them, and they're being euthanized, and they rescue these animals, and they connect our furry best friends with our nation's heroes. But before they ever get these animals, they train them to be service dogs, from shelter dogs to service dogs. Wounded Paw's motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and it is amazing. Now, you can give through the gift of a vehicle. It's incredible. They also take cash. I want you to check it out for yourself. See the work that they're doing. See how the lives are being transformed each and every single day. Go to woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org. Or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729 or woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Ahead of the rally, 7 alleged white supremacists with ties to the neo-Nazi group The Base have been arrested. Authorities saying at least 3 of them had been planning to attend Monday.
We're seeing threats of violence. We're seeing threats of armed confrontation and assault on our Capitol.
The governor also banning all weapons from Capitol grounds. That move enraging gun rights advocates, some taking legal action, but the state Supreme Court ultimately siding with the governor. In response, President Trump tweeting in part, "Your Second Amendment is under very serious attack in the great Commonwealth of Virginia."
Yeah, so Virginia is now controlled by the Democrats, and they want to institute a bunch of new rules that the people who are really looking for gun control will hope that this stops craziness that happens, right? Like all this lunacy, people that got, I mean, over the weekend, you had killings in Hawaii. You had a shootout for yesterday in where I think it was 14 people injured in Kansas City in a some sort of mass shooting, but it was after celebration. And by the way, if you have a club next to a Dollar General, probably not the club that's rocking it. I'm throwing it out there, right? Like it's just, they showed this like place where the people were celebrating and there's a Dollar General and you're like, But there was a shootout there and 2 people were killed, 14 other people injured, right? So, and it's front of people's minds, right? So they said, hey, we're going to go in and do this. And Governor Northam goes out and he does his thing. And then now that they've got all of this power they feel, they can do, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to do some of this stuff here when it comes to gun legislation, tighter background checks. And I'm all for backgrounds. I got zero problem with background checks, right? And I'm pro Second Amendment, but I have zero problem with background checks. I think we absolutely should have background checks. But then I think it also goes above and beyond. In a lot of other places, the opportunity to grab is there, and they're going to do it. So they thought there was going to be violence today. Last I saw, looked kind of quiet, right? You know, and these things end up becoming a circus. And the base, as the white supremacists were called, I'm like, the base? That's what you guys went with? Like Al-Qaeda? Al-Qaeda? The base? Nuts. And remember what happened in Charlottesville. And people are warning, hey, let's not have another one of those. So I understand while getting in front of something is what you should be doing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So while it gets kicking off tomorrow, this whole thing with impeachment, there's something else that kicks off tomorrow.
The Census Bureau director says they're starting in the 49th state because some of its villages are accessible only when the ground is frozen and rural parts of the state can be hard to reach. The first count begins in the Bering Sea community of Tucksook Bay. As for the rest of the U.S., the Census Bureau plans to send out a first round of notices explaining how to participate, and residents can start responding online and by telephone in mid-March. This is the first census in which the Bureau is encouraging most people to answer the questions via the Internet. If you fail to go online or reply by phone or email, only then will a census rep come knocking on your door. All responses are kept completely confidential.
Sure they are, because everything's confidential. Small little town. You ever watch any of those shows where they're out there in the middle of godforsaken nowhere? Like, who lives there? It's insane. Like, I have a bit of a rural life, but I'm, 50, 60 miles away from a big city, and my little city, the next closest city has like 50,000 people, and I'm like 10 minutes from that, but I'm kind of rural. I could not imagine living so far away that once a year people can reach us. That's insane. That is nuts. But the census kicks off tomorrow, as well as impeachment. And now we know who's playing in the Super Bowl. By the way, there's a petition at change.org to move the Super Bowl to Saturday. Not this year, but in coming years, right? Some people would like to see Monday made a holiday so people can enjoy the festivities to the point of potentially a little bit more than you would on a normal day, right? And a lot of people watch the game. It's an event, right? It's our big event here. Some people say, no, let's move it to Saturday because that way you don't have to worry about Sunday. I'm fine where it is. I'm okay with it having a national holiday on Monday too. I mean, we'll still show up. I mean, look at this. Martin Luther King Day, and we're showing up. That's what we do, kids. It's who we are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Speaking of Martin Luther King, we're going to talk about him today, his day. We celebrate, we look back, and we ask ourselves, have we made strides? Is this a country that has made lots of strides, no strides? Right? In this day and age, it's hard to tell. But I'm here to tell you guys, we have made real strides. We're going to talk about that. Also, more talk about impeachment. And yes, the royals. Prince Harry speaks, but he's not really the Prince Harry like His Royal Highness anymore. We're going to talk about that, what happens from here, and could they go back? You text the program, tweet at me, check out the Instagram as well. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Democratic side, I like Nancy Pelosi. I've known her for years, and I think she is a very religious person. But when it comes to Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi may pray for him privately, but she's orchestrated the Church of Holy Hell. From the time Trump has been sworn in to now, it's been one thing after another.
She has instrumented the Church of Holy Hell against the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. What will we do to fix this? How can we go about doing this? Can we fix this in impeachment? The holy hell of Nancy.
This has been a partisan railroad job, and you're asking for fairness in Senate. You violated every norm of what we do. It took 5 years for Starr to look at Clinton. Mueller looked at Trump for almost 2 years, and you took 48 days.
And that is what a lot of people are asking, I think, a very real question of how fast this thing went, right? 48 days. 48 days. Right? Because you didn't have 2 years. You didn't. And now you've gone and you've pushed it to this point. And here we go. I don't think anything's going to come out of it. I don't. I think at the end of the day, we're exactly where we were 4 months ago, 5 months ago. You came after him with Mueller. That didn't work. You think you've got something here. This isn't going to work. And now you're going to be going into an election where you're going to have some of your people off the election campaign trail for a bit. I look at it, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, did I think it was a good thing what he did? No, I don't think it was. Do I think it was the worst thing ever done? No, I don't think that either. But I do think at some point in time, you've just got to say, all right, this is what we have. He's the president. Our best bet is to put somebody out there that the people feel they can get behind, that we can grab enough votes in places we didn't have enough votes last time, and then we can get rid of this guy. That's the best option. Right? The best option is that. Pissing off a base and making it feel like that everything that is wrong with this country is their fault and that this guy is evil and bad, and because they voted for him, that's not going to help you at all, right? That deplorables thing that she said 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, whatever it is now, that rings, I mean, people took that to heart. You half the country, you think are deplorables, is the way that they look at it. You can try to frame it any way you want, but that's the way that they look at it. And every day that they turn on the TV, there's some pundit out there saying the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, and it's all that person's fault right there and the people that follow him. And that's not true. It's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Today, Martin Luther King Day.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Great speech. One of his famous speeches. Gave a ton of speeches that you look back and you hear and you go, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that speech. So many speeches. Yesterday we were in church and they played a speech from him, and it was one of those ones where you forget how many great speeches he gave. This one obviously trumps everything that he has done, but he gave so many speeches that we don't talk about. But how far have we come? I think we've come an amazingly long way. I don't think people realize how far we actually have come because we're so busy focusing on the negative, right? Everything is bad. Everything is evil. Everything is this. There's inequity here. There's an inequity there. Everybody else has something that you don't have, and everybody's a victim. Everybody is. And it's a bunch of crap. We got a lot of work. Everybody knows that we have a lot of work to do. We absolutely have a ton of stuff that we need to do to move forward and to do better for us as Americans, as human beings. But when you step back for a second and look how far we have come, we never give ourselves the credit. We think everybody else around the globe does it 1,000 times better than us. We think everywhere else around the globe is so much better than we are at so many other things. And we're just, oh, did you see the happiness index? We're like 7 or 15 and nobody here is happy. I'm just like, I don't get it, right? Everybody's always looking for something because negativity sells, right? Negativity sells. The fact is that may be true as far as whether or not it sells, but it's not the truth. It's not. The fact is, most people listening right now, you have a job, and if you don't, there's a good chance you're retired rather than unemployed. Right? Most people have opportunities never had before. We've taken huge strides in race. We've taken huge strides in the way that we treat each other, whether there's the LGBT community or other. We have taken huge strides. There's always work to be done, and nothing will ever be perfect. But know this, misery and controversy are big business, huge business. massive business. Just as much as Trump gets told all the time how much he divides, there are other people out there on the other side of the aisle that love the division as well because it's just as profitable for them. But we have come a long way, and we do have work to do. Absolutely. And I think every once in a while we need to take a step back and go, yeah, you know what? I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I can do some things better. We all can. But at the same time, we've done a lot of good. And I get sick and tired of all the time listening to the negativity and how bad our country is and how bad race really. I have been fortunate enough to live around the globe. Trust me. If you think we're bad, be eye-opening. They had a survey in Italy about 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago that came out talking about racism and how it's okay in certain circumstances to have racial thoughts and to say racist things. Soccer is trying to, quote unquote, kick racism out of soccer. Because if you go around the globe and you happen to be a person of color and you're playing somewhere, you bet your candy ass, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get stuff thrown at you. You're going to get monkey noises made at you. You're going to get whatever race you are, you're going to have something said about you in horrific ways that you could not believe. And in some cases, even your own home fans. Could you imagine that today? Oh, that happens. Does it really? The way that we think it happens? No. We take something and we blow it up and we magnify it to the point of ridiculous. We've come a long way and we still have a ways to go. And I know we can do better and we will do better. But every once in a while, it's okay. Pat ourselves on the back and say, you know what? I think a lot of what he was talking about and where he wanted us to go, we've gotten there. And he knows that we, if he was alive today, do I think he'd like the president? No. But I also think he'd take a step back and go, there's a lot of other people out here screaming about victimhood that shouldn't be. But victims, guess what? Having victims is very profitable in the world of thought. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Guess what, kids? The Royals. The Royals. They're speaking out. They're talking. Harry finally broke his silence.
It brings me great sadness that it has come to this. The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly.
An emotional Prince revealing how difficult this decision was.
What I want to make clear is we're not walking away. And we certainly aren't walking away from you.
Today, the Queen putting on a brave face following a consequential week that rocked her family. Attending church this morning with her son, Prince Andrew. Still dealing with his own personal battles.
So Harry's moving out. Prince Andrew, you're going to move back in. Harry said it was his choice, not his wife's. They want this. I think they have Frogmore, which is their summer cottage or house. They're going to have to pay back about $3 million that they used of the people's money to renovate. And they're going to live a good portion of their time here in North America, and a good portion of their time they're going to live, or some in the UK. And there's always the chance they could come back, but they've had to give up their title. So he was always, right, His Royal Majesty, Her Royal Majesty. That will not be it. She doesn't get to keep the title. He doesn't get to keep the title, right? And Princess Di lost that, right? The one thing that she settled on in all of that was she got to be Diana, Princess of Wales, but she was no longer Her Royal Majesty because he wants to step away. And the question is, what kind of money? How are you going to make cash, right? Well, that's the big thing. People are going to ask questions about the cashola. And Netflix, I guess they're already talking. And I'm sure that this has been going on for months. And I think the surprise came that the Palace probably wasn't paying enough attention to see what was happening, and they're ready to roll, and they probably already have a few deals out there speaking. I mean, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay him $100,000 to show up at a speech? He does several of those a year. She'll do some stuff. They'll write some books. They'll do some other things. They'll be fine. They'll be fine just from the notoriety. I understand why they want to get out of there, right? People say, is it racism? A smidge of that, I'm sure, in certain parts of Britain. There is absolutely a disdain for who she is. The second thing is she's an American. And that makes her, you're a Yank, right? So there's some of that too. So it's a lot of different things. Who knows when we'll see him here? I think they'll be on Dr. Phil. It's possible. So tell me about your relationship. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter. Holidays, gone. Those bills, though, that paid for that amazing Christmas and all the holiday stuff that you did, guess what? Those are arriving now, and you're looking at them, and you go, oh, my goodness, that present I bought, I'm going to be paying it off forever. No, you're not, because you're going to get a consolidation loan from my good friends at Lightstream, where you're going to be able to consolidate all those high-interest credit card rates to a lower balance, and it's amazing. How about this? Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. Average credit card interest rate right now, about 20%. Oh, your rate's fixed, so you don't have to worry about anything. It's not going to budge. There's no fees at all. No prepayment penalties. I'm telling you guys right now, stop paying for stuff that you shouldn't have to pay forever for. Get with my buddies over at Lightstream, and just for listening, they're going to take care of you. They get a special interest rate discount. Now, the only way to do that is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discounts. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Art was feeling mighty blue.
It's a shame what school can do.
For no reason, here's a poo.
Go back to your own country.
Oh?
What am I supposed to do?
It's hard to say. Something that started decades ago and was applauded and inoffensive is now politically incorrect.
Mr. Simpson, please pay for your purchases and get out and come again. It is time to settle the score.
Really gonna miss you.
Apu, not on The Simpsons anymore. At least not the way we've had it before. Hank Azaria is not going to voice him. And there's no real, and there's a thought that this could be the last season or two of The Simpsons. It's kind of run its course. It doesn't feel very fresh. I haven't watched The Simpsons in years. I never really find him funny as a young man growing up, and it's never been my thing. So, but he's going to step away, and maybe they kill him off. Maybe they don't. Maybe somebody else comes. But who else is going to come voice him? And what if you sound just like him? Isn't that going to be stereotypical? So what do you do? The whole point is, especially in cartoons, you were able to get away with certain things because you were able to poke fun at stereotypes. And they did that, right? Well, it was wrong. He was a beloved character, and somebody did a voice, but it was wrong. I understand that. And again, today's world and sensibility, everything is wrong with everything. Right? I mean, I'm surprised they're not saying anything about the color of the Simpsons' skin. How about that? Or their weird heads. There's one thing about South Park is they don't take themselves seriously. And they don't care what you think. That's the beauty of them. And what's been great about Comedy Central and even Fox to a certain extent when it comes to Family Guy is they allow them to do that in such a way that they take the heat from it. And that's how you overcome a lot of these things.
One last time. It's a first-place debut for Bad Boys for Life. $59.1 million, over $20 million more than pre-release estimates. At overseas earnings, and the Will Smith, Martin Lawrence buddy cop action comedies topped $100 million, 25 years after the first Bad Boys movie premiered.
You can talk to animals.
Yes. Disappointing news for Robert Downey Jr.'s Doolittle, a $22.5 million opening, the best it could do, but still good enough for second place.
Yeah, but when you pay that kind of money for a movie like that, $175 million, That's not a win, kids. That is not a win at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Last night, opportunity for people to do their thing at the SAG Awards, right? One of them is De Niro. He got a Lifetime Achievement Award, wanted to make sure that he had his voice heard.
There's right and there's wrong, and there's common sense and there's abuse of power. And as a citizen, I have as much right as anybody, an actor, an athlete, a musician, anybody else, to voice my opinion. And if I have a bigger voice because of my situation, I'm going to use it whenever I see a blatant abuse of power. And that's all I'm going to say about that tonight.
That's all he's going to say. It's funny. It's all he's going to say. Yes, you have a right to say that. It's the beauty of our country. You absolutely have a right to say it. You have a right to say those things. You have a right to scream and yell from the mountaintops, and people will give you the opportunity because of who you are to reach so many other people. And other people have a right to say, I'm over it, and I don't want to hear from this stuff anymore. I want to hear from you guys. We have choice, right? That's the greatness of our country, is we have that choice. We have a choice to go, I agree with everything he says. And we have a choice to say, you know what? I can't stand him. I can admire his talent, but I can't stand who he is. And then we have a choice to say, I'm never going to watch anything he does again. So I'm not that kind of person, but some people are. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. Check out the Instagram as well, at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We can force votes. Leader McConnell will never be for witnesses and documents. He has said he's taking his cue from the White House, and the White House wants a cover-up. They want no truth.
They want no truth. Zero truth. Zero. Of all the truths, they want none. Tomorrow, it begins in earnest. We have talked about it till we're blue in the face, but it begins in earnest tomorrow, the impeachment of Donald Trump. Over the weekend, his team had a response for all of this stuff. Hooey! There's more than that, but that would have been funny.
Over the weekend, in a 6-page formal response to the impeachment summons, the president's legal team revealed their main arguments: that the entire process was tainted, that the articles fail on their face and on the facts, and that they were the result of a, quote, brazen and unlawful attempt to overturn the results of the 2016 election. We could get an even closer look at the president's impeachment strategy by noon today, when his team is required to submit a legal brief to the Senate.
Yeah. So by sometime today, and again, it's a legal brief. What's it mean? It means nothing. I mean, we're going through with this. It's happening. I don't know how long it's going to go. He is going to roll out his stuff. They're going to roll out theirs. It is going to be a few days of back and forth before we get into the weeds and decide whether or not we're going to have more witnesses and all of this kind of stuff. And there's going to be a lot of, hey, you know, I want this, you want that, here's this, here's that. And it's the first day or two, you know, I think it's going to be long, more in the weeds, you know, crossing the T's, dotting the I's kind of stuff.
We are heading into tomorrow not knowing a lot. Here are the things we don't know. Whether there will be new witnesses allowed. The Democrats are pushing really hard for this, given the new evidence that has come out in recent days. How long these days are going to last. Some are suggesting we could be talking about 12-hour days. And on tomorrow, this could end up being very heavy on process, very light on substance, a lot of arguing about the rules to come.
Yeah. What are those rules? We're going to find out, right? Mitch McConnell's going to do Mitch McConnell stuff. He's going to go out there and do his thing. The other side of it, Trump's got his other people that are supporting him. And then you've got the usuals who can't, which is anybody with a D by their name, who can't stand the president. We know exactly where this is going. And I will say this. You know, people are talking about, are there a few people on the Republican side that will vote his way, meaning Chuck Schumer, when it comes to witnesses. He thinks so.
If 4 Republicans join, we have all 47 Democrats for these witnesses and documents. And if 4 Republicans join us, as they should, we'll get the witnesses and documents. And let me say this. These witnesses are not Democratic witnesses.
They're not. No. They're not Democratic witnesses. Well, they shouldn't be, right? They should just be witnesses. But that's not where we are. We're in the world of politics. And politics takes precedent over truth. Right? And even when you do have some truth in something, the politics of how you want to punish somebody, something, or the voters takes precedent over that. Trump does have his supporters, as we all know, the likes of Lindsey Graham, who just love himself some Trump, right? He just loves himself some Trump. You got many others. And that stuff they were talking about, the new information, is that whole Les Parnas character. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who loved himself some Trump.
You loved President Trump.
I loved him. I mean, when the FBI came to my house to raid him, my wife felt embarrassed because they said I had a shrine to him. I mean, I had pictures all over. I mean, I idolized him. I mean, I thought he was the savior.
Did you think you were friends?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I went from being a top donor, from being at all the events where we would just socialize, to becoming a close friend of Rudy Giuliani's, to eventually becoming his ally and his asset on the ground in Ukraine.
Yeah. He still has a Rudy problem. I don't care what anybody says. He absolutely still has a Rudy problem, and that's not going anywhere. And that's one of the people I think they really would love to bring in and just kind of say to him, hey, what are we going to do? All right? Let's find out what you know. And I think the more they find out, a lot of what was taking place when it comes to Rudy and the president had a lot more to do with Rudy. He was there working with the president, but if it could benefit him, he'd be all over that. He'd be all over that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Today in Virginia, big rally going on. Some people are worried what might happen.
Ahead of the rally, 7 alleged white supremacists with ties to the neo-Nazi group The Base have been arrested. Authorities saying at least 3 of them had been planning to attend Monday.
We're seeing threats of violence. We're seeing threats of armed confrontation and assault on our Capitol.
The governor also banning all weapons from Capitol grounds. That move enraging gun rights advocates, some taking legal action, but the state Supreme Court ultimately siding with the governor. In response, President Trump tweeting in part, your Second Amendment is under very serious attack in the great Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia is now run by Democrats, and they've proposed a bunch of new sweeping legislations that would eventually curb what people say are, the rights to bear arms, the rights to protect yourself. And this is the debate that's going to go on. And this is when I talk about like states' rights and how important things are, whether it comes to do with choice, right? In a woman, or the right to bear arms. And the battle and the argument in many cases is the same. It's a different issue, but it's the same kind of argument. You're trying to curb my rights. You're trying to take away my rights. You're trying to take something from me. You're trying to control me. And this is why states' rights are so important. If you're miserable in certain areas, and you're seeing it now, where people in certain areas, whether it be politically or financially or a little bit of both, are moving to other places that suit, in many cases, their beliefs. Right? You're seeing the growth of places like Arizona and Texas and Idaho and Florida and many other places. Some of it has to do financially. Right? They're able to sell their homes, profit big out of California or New York, and they're able to bounce and go buy something somewhere else. But a lot of times it has to do with the fact that they feel like they're unwanted. Hey, I can go somewhere else. I can live a better life financially. And on top of that, it aligns more with my belief system, whether it's the right to bear arms. And the same thing goes for people of choice, right? States' rights will have the opportunity, and ladies will, it pisses them off because they want to be able to have it right there. And it's the same way that the guns. People look at the Second Amendment and say, I have the right to do this. Well, the state says no. In some cases, you don't have the right to do this, not according to our state laws. And that's where these battles begin. And today it could be ugly. I don't think it will be ugly. I don't, but you never know. And the worry is about what took place in Charlottesville, that this could end up in a situation like that. And you have people coming in from all over the country to support the Second Amendment. And they were supposed to have an anti-gun rally today, but they decided to cancel that, I think out of fear that something bad could happen.
Investigators believe they had plans of attending the Virginia rally to start a, quote, racial war, and the state's top Republican offering a stern warning saying that any group that plans to attend the rally to spread white supremacy or create civil unrest is unwelcome here.
Yeah. And get rid of them, the base. I love that. I'm like, you guys, that was like Al-Qaeda's thing. That's what they're called, the base. If they should sue you for stealing their name. What other choices did you guys? Well, we're going to go with Ace of Base. Well, you can't do that because the Swedes already have that. Idiots. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Super Bowl set. Super Bowl 54. You're going to have two teams. Pretty damn good teams, right? Arguably, I mean, San Francisco was awesome throughout. The Chiefs were as well. But here's the interesting thing. Both of these teams got kind of lucky in some ways as far as another 4 inches. Seattle wins that game on the last day of the season. And instead of being home field the entire time, which San Francisco was, they would have been 5th and playing on the opening weekend of the playoffs. And if Miami didn't have Fitzmagic and beat the Patriots would have home field, and Kansas City would have played the opening weekend and then been on the road. But it's hard to argue. These two teams are going to be amazing. I think the Chiefs are favored by 3, but I can't wait. You got a defense that is just, with Bosa and them, just beast, right? And they can run the ball with Mostert and Garoppolo. If he needs to throw it, he can throw it. And the other side, you got the most dynamic player we've seen in forever. As good as Lamar Jackson was this year, nobody comes close to Patrick Mahomes. That guy is head and shoulders above everybody else. I am excited for this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter. So you can text the program, the text line I gave you. If you call us, we're going to make fun of you. And you can tweet at us directly. I'll answer all the questions I possibly can. Super Beats. I'm going. My hours are long, and I don't mind. I got tons of energy. My heart health is good. One of the things I do, besides trying to keep myself in shape, is do a little something for myself, especially when I'm here at work. So I work from early in the morning. I'm up about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'll work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and that's just doing radio. That doesn't count the fact that I'm going to do stuff later on in the evening, and every once in a while I need something that is convenient and it's going to give me a little energy. That's where Super Beats comes in. Soft chews are amazing. Let me tell you about Super Beats. They've got a new ingredient. It's grapeseed extract. Comes from the Loire Valley in France. This has been clinically studied and shown to support healthy blood pressure. When you take your Super Beats, you know the nitrates you get from beets. Well, guess what? These soft chews, I take a couple of them. It's amazing. Delicious. Take them wherever I go, whenever I need them. Gives me natural energy. Supports normal blood pressure. Helps with circulation. Now's your chance to get ready for this. Buy 2, get a 3rd bag free. Buy 2, get a 3rd bag. I always need extra bags because people come in and they take them, especially about lunchtime after they get back. They need a little boost, and that's what it'll give you. Go to superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Buy 2 bags, you get a 3rd one free. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? It's a quiet day. Martin Luther King is trending both Twitter and Google. Different reasons. A lot of it is what's open today. Basically, every federal thing, state offices, those are all closed, schools and whatnot. Stock market, things like that are closed today. But I like how that's the search. Is anything open today? Super Bowl 2020, trending big time. Now that we know the odds are coming out, what's the logo look like? Now you can start placing those prop bets. SAG Awards were trending. And the New York Times endorsement trending on both. Because apparently the New York Times had an issue choosing between Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, so they chose them both. So that's where they went with that. They chose them both. Amy for America, Elizabeth Warren. It's between the, as I say, the moderates and the radical. You know, the radical Elizabeth Warren, who up until she was, 48, 49, was a Republican? That one? Yeah. Makes me laugh. A bunch of other stuff on Twitter. Usual baloney about politics, right? Roger Clemens is trending, and the reason Roger Clemens is trending is because with the whole cheating scandal with the Astros and several other teams now being brought into this, is there a chance and a hope that these players have a shot to get in? Here's my thing on performance-enhancing drugs. You still have to do it, right? You still have to do it. I didn't like it. The sport, though, at the time, kind of ignored a lot of it because they needed it. Baseball was coming back from a strike. They were struggling. That home run race, and then the race to beat Maris between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire energized baseball in a way that it hadn't been. The excitement around it was huge. And baseball, again, was fine with it in so many ways because it was putting eyeballs on the screens, putting butts in the seats. It was bringing revenue in. So while they step back and say, oh, this is different, though. Knowing what somebody's going to do is different than you try to give yourself an edge using dope. That, again, both of them cheating, but one of them, to me, is completely different because one feels like you're cheating yourself as much as you're cheating the game. The other one feels like you're cheating everybody. Congress may get involved, by the way. Virginia rally is also trending big time today. They're going to have a Second Amendment rally. So we'll see how that goes. And if there's going to be violence, there was a thought process by many that this could get ugly. I don't think that is going to happen. I think when you get to a point like this where, the whole thing with Charlottesville in Virginia is that was something small that became something big. They're expecting something, so they're ready for it. They've pre-planned for it. They weren't reactionary. They were forward-thinking in this. So I don't think there's going to be any issues there today. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We'll dive just a bit further down when it comes to Iowa, what's happening next. And think about this for a second. You're going to have Klobuchar now, Warren and Sanders, who are all going to be in this quote-unquote trial for the foreseeable future, having to go campaign at night, try to get in and out of things. I think in their mind, while they won't say it, they're hoping also for a speedy trial so they can get back out there. And that gives a huge advantage to the likes of Bloomberg, huge advantage to the likes of Mayor Pete and Biden, because they get to be out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I have a dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Martin Luther King, his famous speech on this day that we celebrate him. Where's race gone? Is it worse than it's ever been? Is it better? I think it's better. Again, I've never driven while black. I've never shopped while black. But at the same time, I can also step back and say we have come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. Let's not, it's funny when you talk about race, and everybody's afraid to talk about race because you're afraid you're going to get labeled something, right? So you're afraid in a conversation that if you bring up and you start talking about stuff, that somewhere along the line, somebody's going to label you something, and that ends a conversation, which is something you can't do. We need to have conversations in this country about race, right? About the issues that face us, but we also need to be very real about how far we've come. We never give ourselves any kind of credit about how far we've come. Instead, all we do is talk about how awful it is. And if you're a president or a presidential candidate, I mean, my God, if you're running for president right now, you just have to talk about how awful the world is, how it's over, it's a mess, and you're the only one that can fix it, and nothing is ever going to get better.
For all of Dr. King's brilliance, and for all of his ability to speak as a genius, I know that the issues that he was dealing with are still around because I see them when I travel the United States of America.
Yeah. Look, racism is always going to be here. You're never going to get rid of it. And let's be real, racism's different today. There's bigotry and there's racism. We say, oh, well, everything's no. With racism, you have to have power, right? That's part of it. It's having the power, right? Not liking somebody because they're gay or because they're black or brown or whatever that's bigotry. That's a bit, your disdain in your heart. It is. But a lot of people have zero power. And that's good, right? We don't want people who have those kind of thoughts to have any kind of power. People say, well, the guy in the White House has the kind of power. But you look at the unemployment numbers, you look at where things are going. People say, well, he's divided the country. Look, long before Trump got here, we battled on all kinds of issues. So let's not blame everything on him. Let's not. I've seen some Iowa, they had some Iowa voters yesterday. It was on one of the talking head shows. I was flipping around to a bunch of them, and they were in this brewery talking about what's happening out there. And they were black, and they were Democratic voters. And they said, look, you know what? There are people in the community, because, they said, Trump says he is getting more and more support. And this guy, I think it was from the Chamber of Commerce somewhere, he popped up and he says, look, there's no denying that people in the black community, some people are doing better. Some people have bought homes. Some people have started businesses. Some people have done things that they didn't do before Trump. And that's going to resonate with them. You would love politics and life to be colorblind, but it's not. We should also celebrate our differences, but do it from a position of we're all Americans first. Everything else is secondary, right? But this battle today is about just as much dividing us, no matter what anybody says about, Trump is evil and he's dividing us. Well, everybody, that's how you do it. You can't fight a monster if there is no monster. Doesn't matter what it is. You have to be able to say, hey, I'm the only person that can fix all of this stuff. Doesn't matter what it is, right? You've got to be able to come out there and say, I can fix this mess. I'm the only person that can fix this mess. Nobody else can do it.
Everything that makes America American is at stake. God willing, we can turn 4 years of Donald Trump into a historical aberration.
Biden right there. You listen to that and you're like, you're just as divisive. Calling people deplorables. That hurts so many people out there. Well, it shouldn't. No, it should. That's what you think. And it's crazy. I was reading this one thing about, it's a perfect example of somebody that is a Bernie supporter who voted for Hillary last time, but says Bernie or nothing. And she refuses to support anybody who does not condemn the wealthy. And I'm like, oh, so somebody who's been successful, it's okay to condemn them for their success, right? It's okay to look at somebody and condemn them because they've been successful. Is that wrong? I think it's absolutely wrong. That doesn't do anybody any good. But you have tons of politicians out there saying stuff.
It's going on right now in the primaries. We've got billionaires who think they can just buy an election.
You're buying an election, aren't you? The difference is somebody like Bloomberg, who's an American citizen, who started with nothing, who came from nothing and built himself up on his own, is fronting it. You're buying an election by using other people's money. He doesn't have a right because he's successful? Doesn't matter how you divide, it's still wrong. It is. Again, we have problems. And guess what? Politicians are not your problem solver. They're not. Politicians aren't going to solve your problems. They can make it worse. They can get out of the way. In some cases, they can make some things easier. But at the end of the day, it's on you and it's on I. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Again, Trumpapalooza and the impeachment train kicks off tomorrow. Should be very, very interesting to see what happens. He's got his legal team, and some of his legal team's been out over the weekend, especially somebody like Alan Dershowitz, who, it's so funny, like when he was announced, so many people like, oh, the pedophile. I'm like, so you know he's a pedophile? Well, he was, he represented Epstein. Nobody should represent that guy. So wait a minute. Nobody should represent somebody who you dislike, who is an absolute scumbag, but they shouldn't have legal representation at all. Well, I'm not saying, no, of course not. But when you throw the facts back in their face, look, the guy is an attorney. He represented the likes of O.J. and Epstein, and we can have a disdain for the people that he liked. But in this day and age, in this world that we live in, our founding fathers came up with this thing that says, hey, we have a right to due process, and we have a right to representation legally, because otherwise, what are we? Right? Might as well just, we're back to the old West, and we're just going to take people out and hang them? No.
Well, I've been asked to prepare and deliver the constitutional case against impeachment that benefits the president. It's the same argument I would have made if Hillary Clinton had gotten elected and she were being impeached. It's similar to the arguments I made when I testified as a witness against impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Wait a second, Alan, why are you playing these semantic games? Whose side are you on? I mean, you're on the part of the defense team. Why, are you embarrassed?
Whose side are you on? I'm on the side of truth, right? As I see it. I'm here from the constitutional side of things. You guys are arguing things that the Constitution wanted to take out. Our founding fathers didn't want in there to become a political thing, and that's all this is. So he's arguing from the constitutional side. Is this constitutionally right? Or is it not? That's what he's arguing. Well, still, you need to be on our side or their side. This is not the side. This should be the side of right and wrong, period, case closed, end of story.
The argument you're making that the president has to commit, in a sense, a criminal offense, commit a crime in order to be impeached has never been adopted.
That's what Curtis said.
Well, that may be
yes,
what,
it has
what
been.
Curtis
no, you're
said.
Just dead
Alan,
wrong.
in 1974, the Judiciary Committee wrote an entire report saying that impeachable offenses do not have to be crimes.
The Senate refused to remove Andrew Johnson because Justice Curtis successfully argued that you need a crime. Without
Alan,
a crime, there can be no impeachment.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about today. Today. Well, we're going to find out, not today, but tomorrow, what all of this looks like as it moves forward. And I have a feeling it's going to look pretty much like a partisan battle where everybody gets their 30 seconds to yelp and to scream and to do the things that they want to do to try to make sure that they can raise a ton of money off of it, because that's a lot of what this is going to be about, right? Martha McSally last week, when Manu Raju asked her a question, called him a liberal hack. T-shirt was created. She's raising money off of it. Everybody's got the opportunity to raise some money and to get your base riled up. End of the day, though, he's not going anywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You feel free to tweet at us. All of that going on. Trump going to be heading over probably to Davos. You're like, what's Davos? They get together in Switzerland. All the muckety-much, the rich people, the powerful, the world leaders, talk about stuff. What's on the docket?
The big topic at this year's World Economic Forum, climate change. Founder and executive chairman Klaus Schwab says much has shifted in the WEC's 50 years. The forum, initially for business leaders, now includes policymakers and activists. The network is extensive.
We always developed in addition to our memberships with business and our good relations with governments, a special connection with the young generation, with the academic generation.
Schwab is particularly proud that a dozen teenagers, including activist Greta Thunberg, will attend. The World Economic Forum starts Tuesday in Davos, Switzerland.
Yeah, she's already said you guys have seen nothing yet. You guys have seen nothing yet. Wait until. I don't know. Can you smell the fires burning? If you want to get people excited about green energy and renewables, show them where money's made, right? Show them where's money made, and also show them how, if we went with the plan that you have, that it's going to be sustainable to the point of people being able to live their lives. All of us talk about how beautiful the world is and how much we want to make it better and how this is just incredible. And I say it all the time. Hey, look, this is our planet. This is our home. We don't crap where we eat. At the same time, we live in the here and now, and if you can't show people that along the way we can make small changes that will be positive and not destroy economies, which will put us back into the dark ages, that's a good thing. If that's something you can't grab a hold of, it's going to be tough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country, fighting on your behalf for things like Social Security, Medicare, making sure those things are solvent and going to be there. Immigration, the thing we talked about forever and a day. Why do we still have no reform? Neither side's getting on it. They're out there lobbying on your behalf saying, hey, guys, we're coming here. We're showing you. Look at us, right? We're an organization that's saying people want this done. What are you guys doing? They're fighting over all kinds of crazy stuff. On top of that, AMAC does great things, like give you huge benefits from retail to restaurant, hotel discounts, insurance benefits that you could not believe, huge discounts on. You name it, they've got it. Right? Maybe you need help with Medicare. It's confusing. Or if your mother and father need help with it, it's confusing. Or Social Security. They're there to answer your questions, to help you along the way. And right now, it is free to join. It is 1 year. It is free. It is on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. Or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617 or amac.us/Chad. 1 year. It's free. It's on me. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
For well over a year, young people from all across the globe have been school striking for their right to a future every Friday. We sure have done this for a long time, but we need to make clear that this is just the beginning. To the world leaders and those in power, I would like to say that you haven't seen anything yet. You have not seen the last of us. We can assure you that.
Greta Thunberg, who will be at Davos in Switzerland talking to the powers that be when it comes to climate change and how we address climate change, how we fight climate change. I think it's a good thing, man. I got no problem with that. We should absolutely be doing that. We need to take better care of the planet. It's so funny because you don't see eye to eye with somebody, right? Like, because maybe, just maybe, I can look at the way that the climate change movement has gone to the point where you look at it, and if you're a person who can be honest with yourself, you say, well, hold on a second. Look, some of the science I look at and I say, okay. Other parts of the science I look at and I say, well, that's been disputed. And other parts I look and say, well, they're writing them a check to say so. And as we all know, whoever writes that check, in particular for scientists, they'll tell you what you want. Go back and look through history, right? See what science have done in the past and the battle that goes on. But I also think some of it's just insane. And it really is. Here's somebody who's totally drank the Kool-Aid, but he's drank the Kool-Aid for Bernie. He's an actor. And you just sit back here and you're like, wow.
This form of capitalism takes and takes. It takes whatever, whenever, however it wants. It'll take our lives, it'll take our labor, our spirit, our air and water, even our earth. And Bernie respects us enough to tell the truth, the hard truth. We have a 10 to 12-year window to radically transform our energy systems, or climate change, predatory capitalism, and the endless war economies will rob us of the right to any future at all. But as Bernie tells us, with him, the future is still indeed unwritten.
That is John Cusack. By the way, just to let you guys know, capitalism's been horrible to them to the tune of about $50 million. It's awful, that capitalism. It's just horrible. Right? Man, let's make the planet better. Zero problems with that. Let's use technology to do that. Let's find out how we can use technology in ways that we haven't even thought about that are coming. Right? When it comes to admissions and things like that, that's fantastic. But now it's like, this whole thing with capitalism. Look, let me tell you something about capitalism. I love capitalism, and it's been bent. It's been screwed. It's been used and abused. But when you look out there, it's still the best that's out there. Period. Do people abuse it? Yes. Do governments abuse it? Absolutely.
We have never had a movement candidate this close to power with a revolutionary movement he's led and built, ready to go all the way to change the country and help heal the world. And he kept telling the truth, but he told us what we needed to hear, not what we wanted to hear, because he respects us. When a person respects you, they tell you the truth. Pardon my language. I know I'm off the campaign.
Settle down there, John. Tells you the truth. Capitalism's bad, if you guys don't mind. I've got things to do. Capitalism's evil. My movie should be free. I'll work for free. Well, I'm not saying that. I know, but still, come on. He's going to tell you the truth. This is what it is. And it's a revolution. And Bernie's people, tell you what, unlike a lot of other candidates out there, they are an interesting group of people. They live for Bernie. They love Bernie. They believe everything he has to say and where he wants to take the country. But Bernie's talking about burning a lot of it down, and I'm talking about the system. And I think the system needs a tweaking, but he's ready for revolution. Not for change in the way that we think about it. He's ready for real revolution. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Abuse of power is so open-ended. Half of American presidents in history, from Adams to Jefferson to Lincoln to Roosevelt, have been accused by the political enemies of abusing their power. The framers didn't want to have that kind of criteria in the Constitution because it weaponizes.
Yeah. Do we want something that's weaponized? I think it's a fair question. Should we look at impeachment as weaponization? Is that where we're going to go with impeachment? Well, Chad, he's abuse of power. Everybody says, well, he's done this or he's done that. But you can go back and you can look and say, well, haven't they all in some point in time abused power, done something that if we looked at it politically in a different world, if this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I always say, look, if Clinton did what he did, which he did do, 20 years earlier, we'd have never heard about it. If Trump had done this 20 years ago, we'd still be moving on and not paying attention to it. We're in a different, more polarized time because we have the opportunity to battle each other on a daily basis. And what do? We go and we fight amongst ourselves when it comes to the political craziness that's out there. We're able to get to our politicians in ways that they've never really even imagined 15, 20 years ago, where instantaneously they can listen to us or hear or read what we have to say. And more often than not, it's just negativity. But they can also rally the base and get things going. So this is a political move. Now, what is going to come of it? Don't know. Right? What I do know, though, is they're going to have a chance to present their arguments. Probably, they're looking at 2 days. Each side's going to have a chance to come out and do stuff for 2. I don't know if it's going to last that long. But the Democrats are hoping that there's a few that will side with them early on, knowing that they're not going to side with them at the end.
If 4 Republicans join, we have all 47 Democrats for these witnesses and documents. And if 4 Republicans join us, as they should, we'll get the witnesses and documents. And let me say this. These witnesses are not Democratic witnesses. They're appointees of the president. One of them is his chief of staff.
Yeah. And you believe that you're going to get something out of them where there's an aha, right? Like they think that Bolton's going to come and Bolton's going to give an aha. But the president has a right to say, look, I've got privilege on some of these things. I've got privilege. And every president has evoked privilege in some way, shape, or form. May not be in certain matters. Not every matter, but now what? Right? I mean, it's insane. It is. And this is where we are. And my fear is the Republicans will use this in the future to come hard at Democrats when the opportunity is there. Now that they feel like, hey, you guys have done it. And it's like you go back and you look what Harry Reid did, right? When he invoked the nuclear action when it came to the Senate and confirmation of stuff. And everybody said, he did it. Now, is this going to bite them in the butts? And it has. And I have a feeling we're going to get tit for tat in the future. Because us, as an electorate, the voters, are going to start to demand that you take action and get somebody out of there. You take action, you get rid of that person. You take action now and get that person out of there, or else we'll find somebody else who does. And that is not good for anybody at all. It isn't good for any of us if this is weaponized. And I think it will be. I absolutely think it's going to be. The Democrats think they've got a solid case for the American people. And I'm not quite sure the American people is paying that much attention as a lot of people would think they would be paying attention. Now, they may pay more attention here in the coming weeks because this is a historic moment and we're finally at the point where we're, it's like the Super Bowl, right? Like they start talking about it like 6 a.m, right? So we're a couple weeks away from the Super Bowl. They'll start talking about it at 6 o'clock in the morning on Fox and every other sports channel and all of this stuff. And then you'll get to the point where it's like, oh, now what? Now we've got a pregame show. And then from the pregame show, it's going to go to the pregame opening act. And then it's going to go to the actual pregame show of the game. We're going to learn everything about everybody who plays. But most of the eyeballs are going to be on the game. And they're like, oh, good, we're done talking about it.
Democrats unveiling their strategy, too, saying that during the now infamous phone call with Ukraine, President Trump asked a foreign government to interfere in the race for 2020 by investigating his political rival. They say he then obstructed Congress in what is, quote, part of the ongoing pattern of misconduct for which the president is unrepentant.
Yeah. And one of the things they're going to come out on the president's side saying, look, him invoking executive privilege or classifying things is, if that's where we're going with obstruction of Congress, that's not good. That's not good. It's an overreach. What's the crime here? That's what people are going to be asking on Trump's side. What is the crime? That's what you have to prove, that there was a crime. But it's very vague when it comes to this political side, because he isn't getting put in jail. Nobody's doing a perp walk. None of that stuff's happening. So on top of proving that he did something that was just so outrageous that he must be removed, also show us that you're not biased and that this isn't politically motivated. You got a couple hurdles there to jump for a lot of people out there who are like me in the exhausted majority, who could look at this and say, yeah, I don't like what Trump did, saying that. I've had problems with other presidents before and some of the stuff that they've done. But show me that you're doing this for the real right reasons and not because Trump is Trump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me today. Virginia, big, huge guns rights rally. People are pissed off. People are angry about what's happening there now that the Democrats have control in Virginia. Hopefully they're thinking themselves, hopefully they can get to sweeping changes when it comes to gun rights, background checks, purchases of certain guns. A lot of people are worried about craziness out there that could take place, including violence. There was some people who were white supremacists who were arrested. But people are showing up. They're in they're doing their thing. And what they don't want is another repeat of Charlottesville.
The city of Richmond is on edge. Officials have taken extra security measures, including implementing a 4-day gun ban after they say they found credible threats to public safety. Right now, Richmond's normally picturesque Capitol building is surrounded by chain fencing, holding tents, and no parking and road closure signs as pro-gun rights activists gear up for what many are calling an unprecedented show of force.
Yeah, people are pissed. They're sick and tired of the governor, Northam. Right? They want to get rid of him.
Recall Ralph! Recall Ralph! Recall Ralph!
Played it earlier. Anthony's like, are they saying Ricola? Remember that? Ricola. No, recall Ralph. They want to get rid of Ralph Northam, because I feel he's an idiot and this is a gun grab. People are flying in from all over the country to support. We're supposed to be an opposing anti-gun demonstration, but they canceled for fear of what may or may not happen. So look, the beauty of states' rights is the fact that states have the opportunity to set in place certain things, and people challenge them in the courts. Hopefully, in many cases, when it comes to things like abortion and or guns rights, you hope it gets to, if you feel your state's gone against you and your rights, that it gets to the Supreme Court. That's also why people are choosing to move to other states that align with their political beliefs. Right? I live here in beautiful Arizona. Love it. It's gorgeous. People have guns. Right? They have guns. Lots of guns. I was in a little Quick Trip the other day. QT, For those it's like a little convenience store, gas station, very cool. I'm in there. Two guys in front of me getting a soda. They were healed, as they would say. Nobody seems to care. Right? It's okay. Other states, that's it. My son is always flabbergasted when we go anywhere because he lives in California, and he'll come out here. He's 9, and he'll see people who have a gun, on their hip. And he's like, whoa, because he just couldn't imagine it. I said, well, that's the difference between the states, Jack. That's the beauty of being here. New York's got a very tough gun control laws in effect. Illinois is the same way. Doesn't mean to prevent stuff. Pisses off a lot of people who feel like, hey, wait a minute here. You're taking away my rights. You're making it hard for me to even have a gun and go do certain things with and even protect myself. And yet at the same time, things are still going on out there. But the beauty of states' rights is the opportunity for you to have your state run in a certain way, hopefully not impeding on your civil rights. And that's where, of course, Supreme Court comes in a lot of cases. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Raycons, love my earbuds. Absolutely love them. E25s. So I got these earbuds. They're incredible. They really are half or a third of the price of all the other things you're going to buy out there for your ear, the earbuds. And the beauty of these is, and this is what I love about them, is the fact that they are so much better. I've had all of the big names. I've tried them all. And the reality is you pay a lot for the name, not a lot for the quality. Quality is not there. This is all about the quality. Seamless Bluetooth pairing. 6 hours of playtime, more bass, more compact design, nice noise isolating fit. So let's say you're out and about, you're working out, you're taking a phone call. It just sounds amazing. It really does. People assess with them. So when Ray J put them together, what do? You want to take them to people that you trust, right? So people inside the industry that you're in. So Ray J takes them and he takes them out to big. He takes them to athletes, but he also takes them to big music stars. Says, listen to these. They did. Likes of Snoop Dogg, Melissa Etheridge, Brandy, you name it. They've all listened and like, we love these. These are incredible. Now's your chance to get yourself a pair and save 15%. And again, no dangling wires, no stems, none of that stuff. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, 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 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
True eye, they're going to run it again. Wide stretch run to Mostert, gets the edge left, cuts back inside. Raheem Mostert has 4 rushing touchdowns and the most yards rushing in a playoff game in 49er history. Oh, by the way, touchdown, San Francisco!
Yeah! Niners in the Super Bowl. Can we say that, or we get in trouble for that? I can say it, right? Because we're not. It's what it is. You always curious, like, can I say Super Bowl or somebody? The big game, the Nooper Knoll. But they are in. Convincing win yesterday. Never even felt in doubt. I thought it would be a better game. On the other side, never in doubt either. After last week falling behind, was it 20-0, 24-0? To Houston, they just turned on the Jets and exploded. Yesterday was no different as the Chiefs also booked their ticket to Miami.
Today, the team that Lamar Hunt founded has just won Lamar Hunt's trophy in the stadium that was Lamar Hunt's dream. Kansas City is the AFC champion. They are headed to Miami for Super Bowl 54.
Can you tell that he's a Chiefs announcer? Screaming into the microphone? Yeah. It was never in doubt. They played great. Titans, they came out, they gave them a game, got up early, made it interesting, but once they didn't go for it, they kicked a field goal, I think to make it, 20-0 or 17-0. You thought to yourself, you go for it, man. You're in this position. You're in it to win it. You're in it to win it. You lay it all out there. And the Titans didn't do that. They didn't play awful. But they're too high octane. You're not going to win a shootout with them. You have to be able to do certain things that the Titans weren't able to do. Now, San Francisco can do those things. And the most important thing is make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. And they've got a defensive line where they can do that. They can get to the quarterback without having to bring a bunch of other people, which allows you to take away their skilled position players and make it uncomfortable. Defense wins championships. And San Francisco has a better defense, and they can do more than enough on offense, running the ball and throwing the ball if need be. So this will be interesting. So you got the 49ers. First time they've been in the Super Bowl in 7 years. Last time they're there, Colin Kaepernick led the way, but they lost in the battle of brothers between the Harbaughs. And 50 years for the Chiefs. So think about that. Ooh, that's a long time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Anybody have a phone? Oh, everybody has a phone.
When someone says my phone's infected with a virus, they're probably not talking about the flu virus, but just consider.
It's something that we always have in our hands.
But unlike our hands, says epidemiologist Mark Springer,
it's not something that we wash.
Killing the germs on your phone could be as simple as a quick swipe with a disinfectant wipe, because the flu virus, says Springer, is a bit of a wimp.
It's not that hardy of a virus. It's something that's fairly easily inactivatable by common disinfectants.
Yeah. But how many people do it? And it's so gross. Like, if you really think about all the stuff, you take it to the bathroom, you do all this kind of thing, what's on the phone. And there's a couple cleaners out there where you can kind of put it in there, and it's kind of like, they're like the golf ball cleaners where it comes out. But still, I mean, all day, you set it down, you grab it, you touch your face. This is the germ thing. It used to be, right? Like kids were that, the Petri dish. It's now the phone is the Petri dish of viruses. Maybe they'll help, though, fight some of these viruses off. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Talk a little bit about the Royals. Some more impeachment stuff as well. The Royals. What will happen with the Royals? We're just going to step away from big his and her majesties. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Democratic side, I like Nancy Pelosi. I've known her for years, and I think she is a very religious person. But when it comes to Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi may pray for him privately, but she's orchestrated the Church of Holy Hell. From the time Trump has been sworn in to now, it's been one thing after another.
She has instrumented the Church of Holy Hell against the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. What will we do to fix this? How can we go about doing this? Can we fix this in impeachment? The holy hell of Nancy.
This has been a partisan railroad job, and you're asking for fairness in Senate. You violated every norm of what we do. It took 5 years for Starr to look at Clinton. Mueller looked at Trump for almost 2 years, and you took 48 days.
And that is what a lot of people are asking, I think, a very real question of how fast this thing went, right? 48 days. 48 days. Right? Because you didn't have 2 years. You didn't. And now you've gone and you've pushed it to this point, and here we go. I don't think anything's going to come out of it. I don't. I think at the end of the day, we're exactly where we were 4 months ago, 5 months ago. You came after him with Mueller. That didn't work. You think you've got something here. This isn't going to work. And now you're going to be going into an election where you're going to have some of your people off the election campaign trail for a bit. I look at it, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, did I think it was a good thing what he did? No, I don't think it was. Do I think it was the worst thing ever done? No, I don't think that either. But I do think at some point in time, you've just got to say, all right, this is what we have. He's the president. Our best bet is to put somebody out there that the people feel they can get behind, that we can grab enough votes in places we didn't have enough votes last time, and then we can get rid of this guy. That's the best option. Right? The best option is that. Pissing off a base and making it feel like that everything that is wrong with this country is their fault, and that this guy is evil and bad, and because they voted for him, that's not going to help you at all, right? That deplorables thing that she said 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, whatever it is now, That rings, I mean, people took that to heart. You half the country, you think are deplorables, is the way that they look at it. You can try to frame it any way you want, but that's the way that they look at it. And every day that they turn on the TV, there's some pundit out there saying the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, and it's all that person's fault right there and the people that follow him. And that's not true. It's not. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Today, Martin Luther King Day.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Great speech. One of his famous speeches. Gave a ton of speeches that you look back and you hear and you go, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that speech. So many speeches. Yesterday we were in church and they played a speech from him, and it was one of those ones where you forget how many great speeches he gave. This one obviously trumps everything that he has done, but he gave so many speeches that we don't talk about. But how far have we come? I think we've come an amazingly long way. I don't think people realize how far we actually have come because we're so busy focusing on the negative, right? Everything is bad. Everything is evil. Everything is this. There's inequity here. There's an inequity there. Everybody else has something that you don't have, and everybody's a victim. Everybody is. And it's a bunch of crap. We got a lot of work. Everybody knows that we have a lot of work to do. We absolutely have a ton of stuff that we need to do to move forward and to do better for us as Americans, as human beings. But when you step back for a second and look how far we have come, we never give ourselves the credit. We think everybody else around the globe does it 1,000 times better than us. We think everywhere else around the globe is so much better than we are at so many other things. And we're just, oh, did you see the happiness index? We're like 7 or 15 and nobody here is happy. I'm just like, I don't get it. Right? Everybody's always looking for something because negativity sells. Right? Negativity sells. The fact is that may be true as far as whether or not it sells, but it's not the truth. It's not. The fact is, most people listening right now, you have a job, and if you don't, there's a good chance you're retired rather than unemployed. Right? Most people have opportunities never had before. We've taken huge strides in race. We've taken huge strides in the way that we treat each other, whether it's the LGBT community or other. We have taken huge strides. There's always work to be done, and nothing will ever be perfect. But know this, misery and controversy are big business, huge business, massive business. Just as much as Trump gets told all the time how much he divides, there are other people out there on the other side of the aisle that love the division as well because it's just as profitable for them. But we have come a long way, and we do have work to do. Absolutely. And I think every once in a while we need to take a step back and go, yeah, you know what? I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I can do some things better. We all can. But at the same time, we have done a lot of good. And I get sick and tired of all the time listening to the negativity and how bad our country is and how bad race really. I have been fortunate enough to live around the globe. Trust me. If you think we're bad, be eye-opening. They had a survey in Italy about 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago that came out talking about racism and how it's okay in certain circumstances to have racial thoughts and to say racist things. Soccer is trying to, quote unquote, kick racism out of soccer. Because if you go around the globe and you happen to be a person of color and you're playing somewhere, you bet your candy ass, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get stuff thrown at you. You're going to get monkey noises made at you. You're going to get whatever race you are. You're going to have something said about you in horrific ways that you could not believe. And in some cases, even your own home fans. Could you imagine that today? Oh, that happens. Does it really? The way that we think it happens? No. We take something and we blow it up and we magnify it to the point of ridiculous. We've come a long way and we still have a ways to go. And I know we can do better and we will do better. But every once in a while, it's okay. Pat ourselves on the back and say, you know what? I think a lot of what he was talking about and where he wanted us to go, we've gotten there. And he knows that we, if he was alive today, do I think he'd like the president? No. But I also think he'd take a step back and go, there's a lot of other people out here screaming about victimhood that shouldn't be. But victims, guess what? Having victims is very profitable in the world of thought. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Guess what, kids? The Royals. The Royals. They're speaking out. They're talking. Harry finally broke his silence.
It brings me great sadness that it has come to this. The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly.
An emotional Prince revealing how difficult this decision was.
What I want to make clear is we're not walking away. And we certainly aren't walking away from you.
Today, the Queen putting on a brave face following a consequential week that rocked her family. Attending church this morning with her son, Prince Andrew. Still dealing with his own personal battles.
So Harry's moving out. Prince Andrew, you're going to move back in. Harry said it was his choice, not his wife's. They want this. I think they have Frogmore, which is their summer cottage or house. They're going to have to pay back about $3 million that they used of the people's money to renovate. And they're going to live a good portion of their time here in North America, and a good portion of their time they're going to live, or some in the UK. And there's always the chance they could come back, but they've had to give up their title. So he was always, right, His Royal Majesty, Her Royal Majesty. That will not be it. She doesn't get to keep the title. He doesn't get to keep the title, right? And Princess Di lost that, right? The one thing that she settled on in all of that was she got to be Diana, Princess of Wales, but she was no longer Her Royal Majesty because he wants to step away. And the question is, what kind of money? How are you going to make cash, right? Well, that's the big thing. People are going to ask questions about the cashola. And Netflix, I guess they're already talking. And I'm sure that this has been going on for months. And I think the surprise came that the Palace probably wasn't paying enough attention to see what was happening. And they're ready to roll. And they probably already have a few deals out there speaking. I mean, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay him $100,000 to show up at a speech? He does several of those a year. She'll do some stuff. They'll write some books. They'll do some other things. They'll be fine. They'll be fine just from the notoriety. I understand why they want to get out of there. Right? People say, is it racism? A smidge of that, I'm sure. In certain parts of Britain, there is absolutely a disdain for who she is. The second thing is she's an American. And that makes her, you're a Yank. Right? So there's some of that too. So it's a lot of different things. Who knows when we'll see him here? I think they'll be on Dr. Phil. It's possible. So tell me about your relationship. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter. Holidays, gone. Those bills, though, that paid for that amazing Christmas and all the holiday stuff that you did, guess what? Those are arriving now, and you're looking at them, and you go, oh, my goodness, that present I bought, I'm going to be paying it off forever. No, you're not, because you're going to get a consolidation loan from my good friends at Lightstream, where you're going to be able to consolidate all those high-interest credit card rates to a lower balance, and it's amazing. How about this? Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. Average credit card interest rate right now, about 20%. Oh, your rate's fixed, so you don't have to worry about anything. It's not going to budge. There's no fees at all. No prepayment penalties. I'm telling you guys right now, stop paying for stuff that you shouldn't have to pay forever for. get with my buddies over at Lightstream, and just for listening, they're going to take care of you. They're going to get a special interest rate discount. Now, the only way to do that is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discounts. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
Someday, I promise you, Don Jr. is going to get indicted, and Trump will say, I knew him very briefly. He was my son for a short period of time. I had my picture taken with a lot of people.
Come on, you gotta laugh. Who can't laugh? What do I always tell you guys, right? If you can't laugh at yourself, you're taking yourself too serious. Don't do that, right? It's okay to laugh at that. It's Trump's thing to everything. Wasn't me. It's never me. Didn't know him. Never saw him before in my life. There's a lot of pictures. I've never seen him. He's at your wedding. Didn't know. Wasn't there. Was your wedding? I don't know. No idea. Are you sure? Never seen him before, ever. Never. This is so funny. Wasn't me. That's him. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Census kicking off. People excited about that. Starts in Alaska tomorrow because there's a place where you can only get to when it's frozen. It's insane. I mean, isn't that insane? Think about that. Think about if you live somewhere where the only time that people could get to you is when it's frozen. Not when it's summer, not when it's spring or fall, not when the weather's good, but when the weather is so cold, so horrendous that everything freezes over and it gives you a path to where you are. That is nuts. It starts there, and then away we go in the census. And, of course, the big fight over the census and whether or not you should or shouldn't ask anybody if they're a citizen and all of that stuff. And the battle begins because identity politics is real, and how dare us ask questions like that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Oh, she's out and about doing her thing. Miss Thang. That's what I like to call her. Again, the whole thought process when I look at somebody like Kellyanne Conway is, how do you go home at night and battle with your husband, knowing how much he is part of the resistance and goes against who you work for? It's insane.
The president was denied witnesses in the House proceeding. And if the Democrats really want to go down that road and have witnesses, then we're going to have reciprocity in those witnesses. I dare them.
Yeah, and what reciprocity means essentially is you are going to want this, and this. We want the whistleblower. We want Hunter Biden. We may call Joe Biden. We're going to call everybody, and we're going to make this ugly. So while you think you're damaging us, knowing full well exactly what this is going to be about, at the end of the day, he's still going to be acquitted. And don't be surprised if there's more than a few Democrats that vote for acquitting him, especially in places that are hotly contended. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few Republicans, maybe one or two, who vote with Schumer and the rules, and maybe one or two vote to remove him, but I doubt that. But they will bring people in. That is what is going to happen. So they're going to have 2 days each, I guess, to make their case. Then at that point in time, they will decide, what do we do from here? Do we bring more witnesses in? And look, as much as you may hate the Republicans, it is not their job to make the case. The Senate's job, either Republicans or Democrat, for this. Could you imagine if you go, okay, we're going to indict this person, and once it gets there, we'll ask the jury and the judge and a few other people if they could go off and finish this case for us? So we'll see what takes place. It's going to be politics. It kicks off tomorrow. Should be interesting. First few days are probably going to be kind of dry and boring, and then it may get exciting from there. You can text the program. Always check out thechadshow.com. Grab your podcast there as well. Feel free to do that. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Chad Benson Show. And, of course, again, text the show, 323-538-2423. Have yourself a wunderbar rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow. And, boy, tomorrow's going to be crazy. Historic day, as always. Night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.